I was 26 when this happened. At the time, I worked as an assistant manager at a small electronics store in a suburban mall outside of Cleveland. I wasn't particularly brave or paranoid, just average. I liked routines, quiet nights, and predictable days. Christmas had always been my favorite holiday, mostly because it was safe, familiar, structured. This happened 3 days before Christmas in 2019. The mall was in that strange limbo it always hits right before the holiday. Too crowded during the day, eerily empty after closing. Fake snow stuck to every surface, tinny versions of carols looped endlessly through the speakers, and everything smelled faintly of cinnamon and burnt pretzels. I'd volunteered to close that night, extra holiday pay, and honestly, I didn't mind staying late. My girlfriend was visiting family out of state, and my apartment felt too quiet anyway. The mall officially closed at 9 p.m., but management usually stayed until almost 11 to finish inventory counts and cash drops. By the time this story really starts, most of the lights were dimmed, security gates half lowered, and the cheerful Christmas atmosphere felt more like a stage after the audience had gone home. That night started like any other. Nothing dramatic, nothing memorable, which is why it took me so long to realize something was wrong. The evening rush was exhausting but normal. Parents arguing over tablets, teenagers loitering near the phone displays, last-minute shoppers panicking about shipping deadlines. I rang up gift cards, restocked charges, and answered the same questions over and over. Around 8:30, a mall Santa walked past our store. That wasn't unusual. The Santa setup was 2 corridors down near the food court, and sometimes he'd wander around on breaks. This one looked convincing. Full beard, red suit slightly worn at the cuffs, black boots that squeaked faintly on the tile. He waved at a kid and gave a tired nod to me as he passed. I remember thinking he looked older than most mall Santas. Not frail, just heavy, like his movements took effort. By 9:15, the mall was nearly empty. I pulled down the metal gate halfway while finishing the register count. The background music switched to a softer playlist, slower versions of Christmas songs meant to encourage calm. At 9:40, I stepped out to take the cash deposit to the security office. The mall corridors felt cavernous. Decorations that looked cheerful earlier now cast long, warped shadows. Somewhere in the distance, I could hear a child laughing, probably a recording, but it echoed strangely. On my way back, I noticed the Santa again. He was standing near a closed jewelry store, facing the glass, completely still. I assumed he was checking his reflection or resting. I didn't think much of it. I should have. When I passed him, he turned his head slightly, too slowly, and looked straight at me. His eyes were pale, not bright blue like the costume ads, but washed out, almost gray. He didn't smile. "Long night?" he asked. His voice was wrong. Not ho-ho-ho cheerful, just flat, tired, almost irritated. "Yeah," I said, forcing a polite laugh. "Almost done, though." He nodded, then looked back at the jewelry store window. That should have been the end of it. But as I walked away, I had the distinct feeling he was watching me. You know that sensation. You don't hear anything, don't see movement, but your shoulders tense anyway. Back inside my store, I finished paperwork and checked the time. 10:12 p.m. A few minutes later, the motion sensor near the entrance triggered. I'd looked up, expecting a security guard. Instead, Santa was standing just beyond the gate. The metal bars separated us, but he was close enough that I could smell him. Not peppermint or pine, something sour, like damp fabric and old sweat. "You guys closed?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, sorry, mall closed at 9. He leaned slightly toward the gate. "You're still here?" Inventory, I replied. Short answers. Professional tone. He stared at me for a long second, then smiled, but only with his mouth. His eyes stayed the same. Busy time of year, he said. Yeah, I repeated. He stood there another few seconds before walking away. Slow footsteps, no jingling bells. I told myself I was overthinking it. That's what you always tell yourself right before things get worse. At 10:45, I locked up and started the walk back to my car in the employee parking garage. The mall was nearly silent now. Only emergency lights glowed, reflecting off the polished floor. Halfway to the garage, I heard footsteps behind me, not rushed, not dragging, matching my pace. I stopped. The footsteps stopped. I turned around. The corridor was empty. I kept walking, heart rate climbing despite my attempts to stay calm. The garage door loomed ahead, half-lit and echoing. As soon as I stepped inside, the smell hit me again, that same sour odor. "Hey!" a voice said behind me. I spun around. Santa stood near the entrance, partially in shadow. Without the bright mall lights, the costume looked darker, almost maroon. Dirt smudged the white trim. "You dropped something earlier," he said. "I don't think so," I replied. He took a step closer. "Sure you did." My phone buzzed in my pocket. A notification from my girlfriend. I didn't take my eyes off him. "I'm late," I said. "Security's around." He smiled again, wider this time. I noticed his beard was uneven, like it had been pulled on too many times. "Security's done for the night," he said. "Just us now." That's when I noticed the door behind him. The garage entrance door, the one that should have been locked, was open. I backed toward my car, fumbling with my keys. "Look," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "If this is a joke, it's not funny." He shook his head slowly. "Kids love jokes. Adults forget how." He reached into his coat. My mind raced. Weapon, phone, anything. But he pulled out a folded piece of paper. "I see you every year," he said. "Same shift, same store." My stomach dropped. "I don't know you." "You don't have to," he replied. "I watch." I bolted for my car. He lunged, not fast but determined, and grabbed the sleeve of my jacket. Fabric tore. I slammed the car door into his arm. He grunted but didn't scream. "Don't," he said, suddenly angry. "You're supposed to listen." I hit the panic button. The alarm blared, echoing violently through the garage. He stepped back, hands raised, eyes wild now. For the first time, he looked scared, not of me, but of being seen. "This isn't over," he said quietly. Then he turned and disappeared through the stairwell, boots slapping against concrete. I stood there shaking until security finally arrived. The police took my statement. They found the Santa setup empty, costume gone. No cameras in the garage had caught his face clearly, just a red blur moving through shadows. Mall management brushed it off as a disturbed seasonal worker. No charges, no follow-up. I quit 2 weeks later. For months, I checked over my shoulder in crowded places. Christmas music made my skin crawl. The smell of damp fabric still makes my chest tighten. Sometimes I wonder if I imagined parts of it. Stress, fatigue. But then there's the paper. Security found it near my car, folded neatly. Inside was my full name, my work schedule, and a list of dates, Christmases. It's been 5 years now. I don't go to malls in December anymore. Last Christmas Eve, someone left a small wrapped gift outside my apartment door. No card, just brown paper and twine. Inside was a red felt hat, still damp.